views from the friend zone. I'm trying to reach the end zone. You think I'm kinda sweet and you wanna be friends though? It's cool though. Just don't try to play me for no fool, yo. Views from the friend zone. I'm trying to reach the end zone. You think I'm kinda sweet and you wanna be friends though? It's cool though. Just don't try to play me for no fool, yo. Yeah. Welcome to another edition of the Views from the Friend Zone podcast. It's your boy Real Talk Marv. Leo season's still in effect. That's why I'm wearing the crown. Okay. Shout out to all the Leos. We still celebrating till our season's over. But you know who I got in the building with me? I'm gonna start to the right.
Amanda, aka Greedy Gut.
It's your boy Cliff. It's your boy Cliff Brock Banam.
You got Jason J. Kerr here.
Yes. You know, Jason, I've known him since, I was a kid, and he got a lot of good things going on. So let them know what kind of things you got going on.
Well, right now, we're building up for the release of the book, which should be coming out somewhere like October.
Okay.
Probably mid-October. We have to push it back due to some other things.
Okay.
Me and Cliff was talking about.
So if you could give like a 30-second synopsis, what's the book's about?
So the book is called I Could Have Bought Gucci. It's about the relationship that I had for 5 years, a solid relationship that was actually going into marriage. I was getting ready to propose, but it all turned into shambles due to some unfortunate things.
Okay.
But the book really focuses on what I learned how to be single, right?
Okay.
And I teach this as well because this philosophy I really believe in on how to be single before you get married.
Okay.
So that's what the book is really about.
That's good because, my perspective, Clifford's perspective is how we deal with, navigating through the social media era of being married and avoiding the pitfalls that we face. And Amanda brings the woman's perspective of, dating and stuff like that. So it's good to have you discuss that as well. So we're going to jump right into the show. Fall is coming, right? Summer's winding down. After we have, Labor Day parade, Eastern Parkway. After that, kids are back in school. And then we have to change the mindset into fall. So, the question I was just like, okay, now that, most of us are done, not myself, but most of us are done summer thotting, you know what I'm saying? Because summer is thot season.
Summer thotting, and he looked my way. Like.
I didn't look your way.
No, you did.
No.
He did one of these.
I didn't look at you. I'm not specifically saying Amanda's thotting. I'm just saying when you're single, it's thotting season in summer.
And listen, we got the
You're not exempt from it. You know what I'm saying?
You know that.
So,
come on.
So I just said, now that we're going into fall, I want us to start thinking about, falling in love, right? Because it's fall season, you slow it down a little bit. You're not out here chasing tail like you was in the summertime. You start thinking about how am I going to get that wintertime boo. You know what I'm saying? So the first topic is falling in love. Now that summer's winding down, it's fall the season to fall in love. We have ladies first.
Oh, okay. I would say it all depends on the person themselves because the seasons change doesn't mean that, it's time to fall in love. I mean, in the summertime, everybody's butt naked. You get a little crazy.
It's so much flesh out there. It's so much distraction. But the fall, your kids are back in school. Some people send their kids away for the summer to go down south or whatever, so they full thought. But now that you back to being a parent, you back to being a little more responsible. It's just like, are you looking toward falling in love for the fall season?
Am I looking towards that? Not really. If it finds me, then I'll embrace the love.
Okay.
But I'm not looking to fall in love.
So do you change the mindset once the summer's over and then fall and then winter's coming around?
No, I'm pretty much the same all year round.
You even kill all around. No, when I was in the streets, summertime, I dated more in the fall. Summertime, I was just trying to see what I could get into. Before you started go on dates and start thinking about things. What about you, fellas?
You want to check? Yo, listen, man. If you're talking about back in the day, all right, back in the day. First of all, back in the day, it did depend on the season for me as a male. Because I had a lineup.
I was
right?
gonna say it might be
And a
different from men.
I had a starting five. Like
Starting five.
I had a basketball
Cliff know
team.
about the starting five.
Oh, by the way, if you're listening, ladies, this is not how I am now. This is not how I am now. But I did have a starting lineup, right? I had a Monday, had a Tuesday, had a Wednesday.
Wow,
Yeah.
you had a day.
No, for sure, absolutely. Actually, sometimes Monday knew Wednesday. They knew each other sometimes. I'm serious.
So now you're thotting. You were.
I
thotting.
was thotting.
You were.
I was a
thotting.
major thought. Super thought. Super thought. I was super thought. Definitely. I definitely had
Super
cake
thought.
ball.
You
Definitely
know?
had cake ball. But what I would used to do in the season is like summertime I would be with like 3 of them, right?
Okay.
But in the winter I had 5, but I had one main one.
Okay.
Like I would.
So when you converting from the 3 to the 5 to the 3 to the 1 kind of thing, what kind of things do you tell the other ones to like fall back?
Well, some of the things I used to tell them was like, I'm focusing on other things, right? Or like, or I'm busy. And that time I was in the street, so
Okay.
I wasn't like, there was no like, I wasn't locked down anywhere. I had a place, but I wasn't locked down anywhere. So they knew that I could be in New Jersey at one point, or I could be in Maryland at one point for a couple of weeks. So they knew that I traveled back and forth. So they couldn't really lock me down. So I'm like, listen, I'm just busy.
Yeah.
I'm away right now. And I wasn't away. I was in like a neighborhood away. But
Oh man.
but I made sure I didn't see them, right? I made sure that the way I was moving. And the reason why I was like that in the winter, because I really like to be booed up. Because as a man, you really want to be booed up. You want
That's
that
a
main
fact.
chick, right?
What age
That's a
range
fact.
were you in when you were thotting about?
I say between 17 and like 25.
Oh,
That's good thought. That's a good thought range.
yeah. And how old are you now? Like what age range? What are you in now? Age range. Are you in your 30s?
21 forever, baby.
21
Like,
forever, like the store.
No, because
Black don't crack, so you can.
it's
He
all
could be
It might
65. You know what I mean? Black don't crack. Sidebar: did y'all see the picture of Angela Bassett and her bathing suit?
she looks great.
Man, 60 years
She
old,
looks
looking great.
amazing.
Hold on, I missed
But no,
that.
the reason Angela
I
Bassett.
missed that?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Oh, somebody
Oh
sent
no,
me-
he'll
somebody sent me
probably
the
tag you in
picture
it.
later.
But the
Yeah.
reason why I asked is because I feel like at a certain age you might not want to be a thought anymore.
later. Of course not.
So
That's
like
a man.
sometimes like in your 30s you might not thought in the summertime.
Yeah. No, I'm 35. I turned 36 actually this Friday coming.
Oh, nice, nice.
So yeah, I'm a grown man.
So it changes when you get older. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, priorities change. Like when you younger, summer's your highest thought season, but you a thought all year round. Like
That's
I
a
said,
fact.
some people now they got kids. Now the kids back in school. You kind of have to focus on that kind of thing.
I used with me, I was an athlete. I used to do mines off for TV shows, right? So when The Wire was on, I had a nice little lineup. A couple girls I used to go there just.
So the
watch
seasons as the TV shows
it.
come
Yeah,
on.
when The Wire was on, I used to
I used to be booed up with them. Like,
booed up with them, and
Let
then
me
let them
find
cook
out.
me chicken parm and all the other,
parm,
all the other
what?
stuff and stuff, whatever. But then the summertime come around, I was a goon. But I wanted to be in the entourage life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
More out there. and
So you kind of
different
base your lifestyles on the mentalities of these different shows.
different shows. But I'm a married man now. But
Yeah.
before then, I definitely based it on the TV shows through the winter.
Because
summer.
in the summer you also got trips planned. You hoping to smash when you go to these different locations.
This is crazy to
That's
me
a
because
fact. That's a fact.
I think thotting has to be within you, and it was never within me. I don't go away
Everybody
thinking,
got a thought in them. Everybody got a
Everybody
thought.
got
Now
a.
there's levels. There's
Everybody.
levels to your thoughtness, right?
You might think that some of the things you're doing is not. It's not really a thought thing, but somebody else might look at it like, okay, cool. Like me, I might go on Facebook or see a social media, and I'm like, she's turning up today. You got some turn up pictures. So turn
Okay.
up pictures is also
Okay, yeah,
attraction
yeah.
of.
Okay, I see
Not
what you're
saying
going
not
with
saying that you're thoughting or you're
Yeah,
doing these things.
I understand.
But certain pictures or limelight will put you in that situation. Like, you know what? And from the outside, you're like, okay,
It's
that's
funny
what she's
because
about. But that's what it is.
I went to Miami in March, and before I was going to Miami, my homeboy was like, "Oh, you're gonna go out there and be wild and crazy, and you could be doing all types
Miami's,
of stuff."
I think, the thought capital of the United States.
I didn't do anything crazy in Miami.
And I think Atlanta might be the backup thought capital of the
It
United
was
States.
very
But
thottish.
Miami,
It was very thottish in Miami.
because people
Very.
like they're already thotting in Florida anyway, but people bring it from all over the country to go thot in
I've
Miami.
seen the thoughtness go down, but I wasn't a part of it.
That's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
I was walking through
Women
it.
always say, "Yeah, I know what thotting is, but that's not me."
That
But
ain't me.
We,
I'm not
we
in
all
that.
got thotting. So we're gonna move on to the next question of this topic, like falling in love this season, right? And this, Jason, will have you, speak on this first because you kind of speak on these kind of things. And it's, should you work on yourself before falling in love, or can you date while trying to figure it out?
Absolutely.
I think your book kind of, discusses
So-
that. So
So here's the thing that I learned, and that's why I just talk from my experiences in the book. I don't talk about what I read and things of that nature. So my experience is that the ending part, which you said, never works. Like, to figure it out while you're in a relationship, you already set yourself up for failure. The challenge is we forget how to be single, even in a relationship
that's true.
or even in a marriage.
That's true.
I heard Will Smith say something powerful when he's talking about his marriage with Jada. He's like, I'm not here to make you happy. I'm here to love you. Because people are like, yo, I'm in a relationship, or he or she's not making me happy, but they're not there to make you happy. I'm there to love you.
Yeah.
You're yourself is here to make yourself happy. You know what I'm saying?
Amen to that. I always tell people, like, the best thing I did for my marriage when I was going through its toughest time is, as messed up as it sounds, I stopped trying to make my wife happy and just like love and support her, because happiness is a state that you have to determine.
True.
You could try to throw gifts at a person, you could try to be lovey-dovey, and you'll lose yourself, or you'll get to the point where the person gets numb to what you're doing. So a person has to define happiness on their own. Someone can contribute to your happiness, but you got to define it on your own.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a fact.
So, Amanda, what do you feel like? Should you work on yourself before you get into a relationship, or you can try to figure it out while you're dating?
A lot of times, I feel 50-50 because I've been single for 3 years, worked on myself, and now I'm slowly, ready for getting into a relationship. Sometimes you can work on yourself forever, though. And sometimes I feel like you can find that person that can help you work on yourself as well.
I mean, and with the point is like we're all a work in project, right? I work in progress. I always feel like as long as God gives you breath every day, you have to try to improve upon yourself. But sometimes we got more issues than others, or sometimes we got more stuff we got to figure out than at different stages of our life. So do you think it's fair to date while you really got issues you need to work on? What do you think, Cliff?
From my perspective, I think the best bet is basically working yourself first before you get in a relationship, because you don't want to bring that kind of drama or anything you got going, and all of a sudden you're making that person feel uncomfortable because they don't know what's really going on with yourself. So as somebody in my 20s starting a relationship, I didn't understand it, but somebody in my 30s, you got to be more considerate about certain situations, like about anything, right? You might do something that you don't think is a big deal, but it might be a big deal in your relationship. So you should always take a time to step back and evaluate yourself first before you really get into that committed situation.
I think
That's
a
why
lot
I'm 50-50. I agree with that, too.
and that's why I think a lot of times a woman will meet a man who has issues. They're dating for a few years, and then she's like, when is he gonna ask me to get married? Why he's not trying to get married? A lot of times men have certain things we want to have in check before we get married. We want to be in a certain place financially, want to be a certain place, goal-wise, a certain place career-wise. And sometimes while we're not achieving that, we're like, I'm not ready to be married, because they feel like while we're dating, we have responsibility towards each other, but it's a difference once you become a husband. Like, as a husband, you got to be, carrying yourself a certain kind of way. And I feel like sometimes men are afraid to get married because they're trying to get these things in order. And the woman was just like, well, we've been dating for years. That hasn't come. Let's just come as we are. So what do you think about that?
I mean, I would ask for men, what do you guys feel like you have to get together before you get married? Like, what kind of struggles do you guys go through?
I think a lot of times guys want to, they want to fully feel finished with their hoism. But I always...
So this is about hoism.
Part of it.
Okay.
For
Let's
some reason, a lot of times dudes are hesitant to get married because they always feel like their chance with Rihanna is still there, or something like that. So, I mean, on a silliness, but on a real, I think men want to feel like, what, they want to be able to be like, yo, I want to have the house money. I want to, I want to be able to take care of my family. I want to be your provider. I don't want to have like certain, pending situations. I want to be strong in my career. So they could live that kind of American dream. But the American dream is a hustle. It's just continuing to hustle. But I think a lot of times we put that pressure on ourselves. Like if I could do it again, I probably wouldn't have got married when I got married because I didn't have a lot of things in line. And eventually things worked out, but it did put a lot of stress in the beginning of my
So in terms of
relationship.
communication, why do you guys feel like you can't just be honest with the lady and just say, listen, eventually I would want to get married, but I want to get my finances together. I want to get this together. I want to get that together. Like instead of just feeling forced into a marriage, just be honest with her. She might understand like, oh, okay, well, this is why he doesn't want to get married
I'll let
yet.
Jason answer.
Yeah.
then I
So
answer.
here's why we do this as men. Here's why we don't communicate with the woman even when we're with her that we're not ready to go to marriage yet, because some of that hurts us to say that. That's one, because we have pride, we have egos.
True.
Right.
True.
If we got to come to you and say, listen, I'm not ready to get married because I'm not a solid man. That's hurt. That's the bottom line truth. That's the root. But it hurts us for us to even say it that way. We don't even want to think it, but that's the reality of it. So we forget us. We don't even have that conversation with us, much less with y'all, because it reminds us where we're not, right? And so that's some of the reasons why we don't come to you and tell you, like, listen, I'm stuck right now, or I'm not ready to. And we know y'all don't want to hear that. That's another thing too.
Well, it depends on who you're talking.
Very true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But sometimes we don't even recognize that either. We've just been so conditioned from sometimes maybe old relationships with other women that we don't know who we have, right? And so we're just going off of past trends and learned behavior, right? So I think for me, because I'm not married yet, I do most of off of the word, like off of the Bible. And the Bible says that a woman should never meet a man if he's not in his purpose. She should always meet him in his purpose. When Eve met Adam, what was he doing? He was working, right? He was building. He was in purpose. He was tilling the ground. So that's what I've been doing. I've just been building this kingdom. And when my queen comes, she gonna come, right? And so that's how we feel it. So back to what Marvin was saying, like he said, if he wouldn't have at that time, but he feels that way because he didn't have what he has now, right? So he would have wanted what he has now, right, at that particular time. And
But that brings
That's
us
a
back to
beautiful
your
thing.
question, though, because she stayed with you while you were building. You weren't actually there yet. So that's what I mean, how it is 50-50. She could stay with you
Yeah.
while you're building at that same time, getting yourself together. You don't necessarily have to stay single or not be in a relationship
hold on, Mark,
because
let me touch on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're
true. I didn't get a
building.
chance to touch on that. So so that was true what you were saying earlier, the 50-50.
Yeah.
That
I've met people that it worked out. Like a homegirl of mine met her man when he was down low, and now they're both up top together. And vice versa. I have a male friend that was messing with a woman that was super insecure and stuff like that, but they worked everything out. So I think it's 50-50. Yes, you do have to get yourself together, but sometimes people work on themselves for years and still don't get it right. Sometimes that one person that you meet could be that one person to just like, yo, you know what? She's a dope person. She helped me out of this, or whatever the case
But
may be.
you said something that's very that speaks volumes to me, is like finding a man in his purpose. I think a lot of times we struggle to find our purpose, and men feel like until I find my purpose, until I find the direction I want to be in, of course I have needs, and of course I want to love, but I don't want to become a husband till I found that purpose, till I could be like, you know what, I'm established, I have a vision, I have goals. And a lot of times, men and women timelines are different. So a lot of times a man could date you for 10, 15 years and not feel like he's ready to be married because he hasn't reached the goals that he has. Where sometimes women are just like, yo, I want to have a baby with you. I want to be a mother. I want to be a wife. This and that. All my friends are getting engaged. What's going on, kind of thing. And a man's not going to make that move until he's ready. And I think a lot of times that causes discord between men and women because a man feels like he has to have certain things in order before he becomes a husband. I mean, sometimes you don't hold those same kind of standards of becoming a father or other kind of roles, but for some reason that pressure of being a husband, a provider, in his mindset, a lot of times a man won't move until he's completely ready. What do you think, Cliff?
Just to piggyback on what everybody's saying is, you know what? I think a lot of the times is, women are more mature than men, right? So, it's a proven fact. Like somebody, just because a guy's 25, don't mean he's 25. He could be 25 and still acting like an 18-year-old.
True.
So it's a different ballgame, right? And I could talk through my own experience, right? I was with my wife 7 years, and then I decided to say, you know what? I wanna get married, but it wasn't because just me. I said I wanted to get married, and you remember we were sitting at your crib one day. I was off, and I'm like, yo, I think I need to do it, but it wasn't even that. It was a conversation I had with my mom, right? And at that time I was 28 years old. I had a conversation with my mom, and she was just telling me like basically giving me this the scenario of like, yo, what's your next step? What was going on? And I'm big on family, so when I had that conversation, that's when it was the next step, but. It's about growing, right? I think that through relationships, as you get older and you accept that you know what you need to take the next step, that's when you should get married. You shouldn't get married just because
The pressure.
because a lot of the times that marriage won't work. You as a man, you when it's time, right? And marriage is far from easy. I could tell you, far from easy. It's a lot of give and take
It's work.
from both sides, right? Sometimes you think you're doing everything perfect. Just because you're a provider doesn't mean you're doing everything perfect. Sometimes it's the little conversations you got to listen to know what's going on in your
You got to
relationship.
support the person you're with emotionally, spiritually, physically. It's not just, I think a lot of times if we bring enough bacon to the table, we feel that's
and you
it.
got to connect, like you said, with everything. And also, I learned this, right? I learned to cherish what you have and respect that person, because sometimes you can be in a relationship and take that person for granted all day because you're like, she ain't going nowhere, he ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
But when you grow and you step back and you realize, like, yo, I got a good one, I make sure this is right.
So let me ask one last question on this topic before we move on. And we kind of been discussing it, but I want to ask this question particularly. Can you date a broke person, or should you wait till you're not broke to date?
Can you date a broke person? Man,
Or if you're broke, should you wait till your situation's better before you decide to date?
so that's a little tricky. Yes and no. And here's why I say yes and no. It depends on the person.
Because how many Netflix and chills can you get away with? You know what I'm saying?
There's other dates besides Netflix and chill.
That's funny.
That's the default date of our culture of this day and age.
That's
Go
true.
ahead, Jason.
But all seriousness though, it does depend on the person. But I believe that a person should not, if finances is huge in your life, like it's taking up a lot of your focus because you have none, then dating probably shouldn't be on your mind right now, right? Man or woman. Because here's the thing. What is the ending result? What are you dating for? Or are you just dating to date? It's a different situation. If you're just dating to date, then who cares? But if you're dating with a purpose, if you're at that level in your life where you're dating with a purpose and your finances isn't there, I would say hold up for a second. Build whatever you need to build. Find a new career, or establish some new skill sets. Put yourself in a different market, different industry. Gain some momentum there. Bring up your money, and then you can go, man. Oh, especially for a man, then you can go and seek dating. Because there was a point. All right, so there was a point in my life where I lost everything. My car got repoed, no crib, bank accounts dried. I was like, you know the fuel tanks like on a plane, like all 4 fuel tanks of my life, but like physically my body was out of shape, like everything just went at the same time, right? But I still wanted to date. But I had nothing. So what I had to learn is like, you know what? Let me chill for a second. Let me chill and let me build up me, right? And so what I did, I became more valuable to the marketplace. So the market started paying me more. Then I started acquiring assets, and then I went out and started to date and start searching for my queen. I was open, because what am I bringing to the table as a man? What am I bringing? Yeah, I'm bringing myself. Yes, I'm valuable. But at the end of the day, finances is one of the biggest things that kill marriages.
Exactly.
That's a fact.
Finances is the number one reason. Even more than fidelity. Infidelity is finances.
I have 2 good friends right now who are divorced, and one was married for 15, one was married for 7. And it wasn't infidelity. It's money. It's hugely money. So when people say, because
And expectations. People don't have the communication. People expect, things are just gonna naturally get better, so they don't have these conversations. They're just like, I'm gonna be ride or die. It was funny. Me and my wife was talking, and she was just like, she said it, and she was being serious, but it's so funny. She was just like, how long are you supposed to be ride or die? Sometimes you just gotta die. Where it's just like, yo, how long are you gonna ride? How many times you gonna let somebody slap you in your face? Sometimes the situation just gotta die. It was savage, but I was just like, yo, that's a fact.
that was a jewel she dropped.
That's a fact,
Complete jewel she dropped.
So, what do you guys think? Should you date as a broke person, or can you date a broke person?
I'm gonna piggyback what Jason said. I like the thoughts that you was talking about, right? But honestly, I don't think you should date as a broke person, right? And I'm not saying that it's not fair to say that, but it is, because finances is huge in a relationship, right? When you date as a broke person, right, you got to get too creative with certain things, right? No, you got to get too creative. Yeah, you got to
Extremely creative.
You got to get extremely creative, right? And then you already putting yourself in a situation to be insecure because you're financing right, right? I'm talking from my perspective myself, whatever. If anybody that knows me, I like to work. I like to keep the money going. And I'll work 7 days a week, literally, because it's not about the money with me. I like to be financially stable at all times, because I know in all reality, in the society we live in, when you're financially stable, good things happen to you. People want to be around you. You can travel the world. You can see different things. Me having a drive to continue to work, which is not just about the money, it's other things around you, and you just feel better about yourself, the accomplishment. When you're broken, you bring no money to say money's not everything, right? But money's something that'll keep the relationship going, even if the relationship is bad. Because they'd be like, a lot of time women say, you know what? He ain't there with me. He don't connect me with him, but he's a good provider. He taking care of them kids. He paying for Catholic school. He put food on the table, and then sometimes the relationship will stay long. It's not saying it's right, but I think your best bet is get into a relationship when you're comfortable with your finances. Because you get in a relationship when you're dead broke, it's but so many Dawson Creek to the lakes you can take. It's but so much time you can see. You could go to Central Park. Seriously, because eventually she's gonna say, you know what? I want to go to dinner tonight.
Yeah.
I want to go and I'm seriously, and I'm not assaulting people.
That's
I'm
a
not coming
fact.
in a certain
That's
way.
a fact.
When your finances is in order to a certain extent, life becomes a lot better.
So you
That's what I
being
think.
the only woman on the panel, can you date a broke man?
Once again, my Libra scales are 50-50. I feel I'm a very low maintenance person. Like, I'm a park goer. I told you, Barnes and Noble type of a person.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you're broke and you're working towards not being broke anymore, getting your finances together, yes, I could date someone that doesn't have it all together right now at that moment. But if I see he's working towards it, absolutely.
But listen,
I agree with
That's
that.
like me giving up on somebody. Oh, he's broke. I'm not gonna talk.
but
to
no,
him.
I'm not saying.
I can meet him. He could be broke, but maybe he's going to school for something.
Let
2
me
years from
let me
now.
say something. What's the time limit? Because
I was gonna say, what's the time
I had to stop you because what's the time limit? Because listen, if you're a painter, right, and you only doing one painting every 4 months, but this is what you love. When do you say, you know what, he's bullshitting me, or she's bullshitting me? This is just something that he's using to hold on with.
I
me.
would have to actually be in a situation to know a time frame.
But
Because I would have to. It's like I would need to know. Is he just chilling on the
24
couch
it's
every day?
24
He's not
it's
doing anything. Or is he
24
out
hours.
getting his money?
You could broke date in the summer,
It's
but
24
once
hours
it
in
gets
a
a
day.
little colder,
But
Netflix
listen,
and chill.
listen,
No, I'm playing with you.
how serious? That's what he's
just
saying.
playing.
How
No.
serious would a woman take someone who's like,
If you're sitting
always
around,
doing
I'm not
these
going to take you
broke
serious.
creative
If 24
dates?
hours in the day, right? 24 hours in the day, right?
If you're sitting at home and you're not doing what you have to do, then I'm out. But if you're like, oh, today this is what I did, or I applied for this job, or I'm going for this, or I went to school for this,
But you gotta
then I'm going to
see
see that
these
you have
things.
motivation and ambition. But if you don't have that, then of course I'm not going to stick around. I probably
So what's
wouldn't
the
even
time?
date you.
What's the time limit? You being the only woman on the panel.
time-
And there is a time limit. I'm going to talk about this. This is huge.
Time limit, I would probably say 6 months to a year, maybe.
So you willing to give a broke dude a year?
I don't know. Like,
Yo,
What
I have,
kudos to her?
yo,
I've never
his face
came
is
across
priceless.
a woman who's
It
willing to
doesn't-
give that kind of a timeline.
No, because it doesn't
We-
happen.
we-
But
wait,
like I
Cliff,
said,
Cliff,
listen,
let her
I
talk.
say I would have to see if you're just sitting around for 6 months doing nothing, then I'm not even gonna give you 6 months. But if you're like you have to be ambitious. If you're just sitting around, then no, I'm gone. Like I'm not. I don't think you guys are understanding what I'm trying to say. Like,
No, we got
I'm
you.
not
We
gonna
got
sit
you.
there and stay with a guy that's just like, oh yeah, I just chill today.
I don't,
didn't do
maybe
anything.
I've been dating or trying to holler at the wrong women because I've never felt I had that long of a timeline to make it happen. We'll let you answer because you said you had something and then we have to go to the next topic.
Sure. So I agree and disagree with Amanda. So I agree that it is okay, depending on the person and depending on the vision, right,
Right.
of that man or woman.
Remember, success doesn't happen overnight.
Surely does not, right? So I understand, but it depends on how serious the person is and what they've shown you in the middle of dating. Like, oh, this person is like they may have no money now, but they have it mapped out.
They have
They've
ambition.
But that's what I just
It's
said.
not, yeah, that's what I said.
Exactly.
This is the agreeing part.
Right.
So I agree with that. Here's
Uh-huh.
why I disagree with what she says as far as what you're saying, as far as like, I'll just be really cool with it. You know, if he's broke, he's broke. But the challenge is a lot of women aren't doing what you're saying. Like that's why when Cliff said the time limit, I said I'm glad he asked that because I was in a relationship where I came in a relationship with a lot of money, right? That last relationship with a lot of money, but then I lost everything. And even though I was working and like grinding to build the money back up, she still started to push back because the money wasn't coming fast enough, right? And so that actually started to destroy the relationship. So even though I had a plan, even though I had it all mapped out, I mean, literally wrote out all these things and and she saw me progressing, but it wasn't fast enough. So this is where I disagree. Not every woman is you. You see?
And let's
Well, the
keep it.
thing
Let's
about
keep
it
it
is
a
that my
buck.
background is different.
The respect
Oh.
dwindles a little when the money's funny.
My background
It
is
does.
different. I've never had a guy take care of me,
Okay.
so I don't know how that feels.
And that's a beautiful thing. Keep it up.
I've never had that feeling of okay, well he
Because-
has money, he's taking care
Because
of
we
me.
have a
I've
short
never did that.
we have
I don't
short
know.
timeline. We're gonna move on to the next topic. Next topic is called baggage claim, right? We all come into situations with baggage, but there's levels to the amount of baggage that comes into relationships or you're able to approach a relationship with. The first sub question is, have you ever dated anyone with excessive emotional baggage? You could go
Absolutely.
first. You could go first.
Yeah, I dated myself.
No, but have you ever dated someone outside of yourself? with
Absolutely.
Excessive emotional
Absolutely.
baggage.
So my ex before the ex that I met in high school, that relationship was off and on, but that relationship I had a lot of baggage. I brought in cheating hurt baggage. So the girl I was with before her cheated on me with a friend of mine. When I was a teen, this is teenage love.
Yeah.
17, right before I dropped out of high school, right in that 16, 17 range. And I never let go of that. I never healed from it. See, we have a lot of past men and women, especially men. We just front about it because we know we're tough, macho, whatever. But it's there, right? So but I didn't know subconsciously that this was hurting me, and I was bringing that hurt into every relationship, and that was a major. Even that last relationship, I brought that baggage. I never healed from it. It's just only recently, this last couple of years, that I actually healed from the hurt of cheating. Even though I've done a lot of it, but when I got it at an early age, I never
that's
got
one
over
thing that's foul about us men, right? We always be like, yo, if shorty cheat, it's a rat. But we cheat like, well, I'm supposed to cheat. I'm a man kind of thing. And we don't have that same equilibrium as far as knowing that, whatever we put out in the universe can come back to us.
Absolutely.
That's why I always tell people like, yo, there's levels to the cheating kind of thing. Is also I need to know what caused the cheating. Am I the catalyst of the cheating and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%.
So, what about you? Have you ever dated someone with excessive emotional baggage?
I haven't dated somebody with a excessive emotional baggage claim, but I've dated people where I'm like, I've questioned certain things that they do and their motives about the situation, right? But baggage, no relationship is perfect, so you automatically coming in with something that you're not gonna like about the person.
Yeah,
But
I
you
mean,
tell-
there's a difference between hang-ups and emotional baggage,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because hangups is just like we have qualms, we have
Yeah.
ways about ourselves. But the baggage, like, I have to be honest, my marriage, in the beginning was a lot of emotional baggage that I had to unpack. I had to be like, okay, are you carrying on, or are you viewing me because of things that I've done? Or I remind you of something that happened, or it feels like a scenario, because I can't pay for things that I haven't done. I can't pay for the sins of other people's past. I can pay and work towards the things that I'm doing incorrectly. So that's one of the things that, dating someone with emotional baggage, you spend a lot of time trying to differentiate yourself from the person that hurt them, kind of thing.
True.
What do you think? Have you ever dated?
No, I actually haven't.
Really?
I was the one bringing the emotional baggage.
Okay, so someone has
Oh.
emotional baggage. What, obviously you're single now and you're able to reflect. What was the emotional baggage you felt you should have, that you carried into a lot of relationships that you probably shouldn't have?
One of my ex-boyfriends, he was a big-time cheater. So my next relationship, it was filled with insecurities and all types of, I know he's probably cheating too, and everybody cheats and stuff like that. I was younger, early 20s, so yeah, I brought all of that into the relationship that the next relationship.
Do you feel like it caused the demise of that relationship?
Absolutely.
That's tough.
Sometimes, like you said about the baggage claim, it can ruin your relationship, period, because that person automatically come in with a wall, right?
Yeah, I sabotaged that relationship after that.
I'm speaking as a married man. Even as a married man, when I first got in a relationship with my wife, I just certain things that she do. To this day, she drives me crazy, right? Even if she's watching the show, it is what it is. But I love her. She supports me at all things, and I express that. But there's certain things that she came into the relationship and I couldn't figure it out. So sometimes you got to step back and have that conversation with them. Like, listen, I don't know what's going on.
So let me ask this next
But,
question.
you know.
How do you make a person get over the sins of their past lover?
Oh, let me touch on
Go
that.
ahead.
So here's what I found that people, especially men, don't do. So I believe that if you are getting into a relationship with someone and they're coming with emotional baggage, it may not be something you want to hear, but it's your sole responsibility to heal that person's heart, or be an influence or an effect to heal that person's heart. Vice versa, especially when it comes to a man. If you are a man and you come into a relationship with a woman who has been battered or beaten or verbally abused, which I used to do to women, or anything like that.
Clarify, you used to.
Like verbally abuse them.
Yeah.
Like if I get angry, like I'm just cursing them out, I'm just talking to them any which way, which is wrong. I didn't know because my father used to do that. So I didn't know it was learned behavior. I didn't know that it was something I picked up watching him being in his marriage. My father's a great man,
Yeah.
but that was one of his defaults, one of his things. And I picked that up. And I had to learn, again, these last couple of years, that was something that was destroying all my relationships.
Yes.
Even the thought ones, right?
Yeah.
Even the thought ones, right?
I want to not combat what you're saying, but I want to add a caveat to what you're saying.
Sure.
I only feel you had that responsibility in a relationship that you're invested in.
True.
Because if I'm thoughting with you and you bringing baggage and this is just a thought situation,
Then I'm
out.
not. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
I'm out.
Absolutely
I
not.
am not taking on that kind of baggage when it's not that serious.
I'll replace you Monday. I'll replace you.
And ladies, if you know you have certain ways about you and men bounce really fast, it's because they weren't invested in the situation to take that on. You're going to find someone who's willing to invest in that situation. But a lot of times, it's not that serious. So, especially now being in my 30s, if I was in the dating game, I don't think I would have the patience. Like when I was younger, I dealt with a lot of women with a lot of different baggage. And then I was just like, I was always trying to not be Captain Save-A-Ho, but let's hang in there. Try my best to see, how I can change.
I think that's the Langston Hughes in you.
Yeah, but nowadays, obviously I'm not out there, I'm married, but I would be very calculated. To me, it's just like, is this investment worth it? I invested years on a lot of women. I'm like, yo, I wish I could. Like Maxine Waters, the congresswoman. I want to reclaim my time. I wish I could, because time is very valuable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the biggest commodity.
So you know, what do you think, Amanda? Like, how do you make a person get over the sins of their past lover?
Well, I agree with what Jason said. Same exact thing.
Okay.
So the last question on this topic is, if someone if someone like reminds you of their actions, remind you of the things that someone else do you stay and work it out, or do
No.
you bounce?
I bounce.
Because I feel like, when you have baggage, sometimes it's just like, wait a minute, this seems familiar. So is it fight or flight kind of thing?
I'm
What do you
out
feel?
because I'm not dealing with the same thing that I've dealt with before.
But it's not the same person.
It
It's
isn't the
just
same person.
You remind me, it's a reminiscent kind of thing.
You-
What do you think?
If it's not fixable though, after, I would give myself a time frame, but I wouldn't know how long that time frame would be. But if it's continuous and it's the same thing, I'm like, you know what, this is reminding me too much. I can't do this right now.
I think it's all about patience, right? And then because somebody you dating in the 20s remind me of, or somebody you dating in your 30s is a whole different ballgame, right?
Yeah.
In your 20s, you quick to react like, yo, shorty, yo, I'm done with her.
Yeah.
She's, it's over for her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what, shorty? Just lose my number. I'm good. But when you're in your 30s and she might have reminded you something, you're like, you know what? Let me try to work on her a little bit, because it's about maturity and growth. You gotta grow. So you might take the time out a little more, being older and seeing the situation different. So I always think it's a time of age limit with that. That's just my opinion.
Me personally, it's like my patience. Like, I had the patience and the commitment for my wife because of the history that we had. But if I was out here single, nah, I had too much of my time wasted. You start moving funny, I don't need to be boo boo the fool. I don't need that much confirmation. I'm good. I'm good, love, and
That's
joy.
how I feel.
I'm moving. What do you
I feel that
Jason?
way.
Well, I agree with Amanda, like the flight, but I don't do that anymore, because sometimes it's not the person, it's you. So when I was dating, going through that phase of dating for a while, going from person to person, just dating, meeting people and going out, I was noticing when I did spend, if I met someone that I thought I want to invest more time into and start really dating, I was noticing, okay, oh, you have some trace of my ex, of that relationship. I don't like the way you're moving right now. But that it was like 2 or 3 women that I had durations of times with that were doing that. So I'm like, okay, it's either one or two things. Either I'm subconsciously picking these women because that's what I'm used to in my mind, or I'm so in fear of it, any little thing that reminds me of this person is making me cringe.
Yeah,
and that's
like
what
PSD,
it really was.
this.
Because I would be out. As soon as I would see it, I'd be like, oh, I'm out. Because I'm not going through what this woman put me through again. And if I see a inch of it, it's deuces. But then I figured it out that it really wasn't the women, it was me. It was a fear that I had. So even though they weren't that woman, and even though it wasn't a huge match to it, it was a little bit, but it shouldn't have been enough for me to bounce.
Yeah. I also feel like being, in my mid-30s and just knowing myself more, as soon as I get kind of signs, I'll communicate it like, yo, you moving funny, or this kind of feels funny, and this is how it makes me feel. If my communication's ignored, then nah, you're not even worth me continuing. Not that people should be perfect, but it's just like I took the time out and said, yo, you moving like this and this make me feel a certain kind of way, and the person's just like, I don't care kind of thing. Where it's just like, yo, to me, my time is too valuable to invest time with someone who's not willing to have that same kind of respect.
True.
So if we could leave baggage claim on, like, give the audience 10-second words on how you feel about baggage, and like how can we move from baggage in relationships. Starting with you, Jason.
Let it go. It's as
Let it
simple
go.
as that. Let it go,
That's
because
real.
you go from one plane to the next. That other plane may not be willing to carry your baggage, but you want to be on that plane. But they're gonna return your ticket, say, sorry, you got to catch another flight.
Yeah.
And so for me, you just, even without the other person, you come first. It's hurting you
Yeah.
subconsciously, and you may be hurting family members too and friends because of that baggage. Just let it go. Just put it down.
What about you, Clint?
About baggage claims, I think as somebody who, when I was younger, I would be more like, yo, I'm done. somebody a little older in my 30s, I might be more patient with the baggage claim. It's just a matter of what you can handle. You gotta know yourself. When you know yourself, you can know what your ins and outs and what you can handle and what you're not willing to handle. That's what I feel about it.
Everything Jason just said. Because I don't want to just repeat it. So,
No. I mean, I said it earlier in the show, but I gotta repeat it. You know, I'm ride or die, but sometimes you gotta let them die. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just gotta walk away
and
from
everything
the situation.
you said.
You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
absolutely.
Sometimes you gotta walk away. Like when I was younger, I didn't believe. Not that I'm on the verge of divorce, but when I was younger, I didn't believe in divorce at all. Seeing my mother go through so much with my father, I was just like, yo, she was committed right to the end. But then sometimes I'm just like, there was a lot of unhappy moments for my mom. I didn't sign up for unhappy. You know what I'm saying? I signed up for knowing that, you know, relationships change. But if we just in a constant state of unhappy, we got to check it out. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to move on to the last segment of the show. Is called Ask the Zone. Ask the Zone is just like we get questions from different people. Just like, yo, discuss this on the show. I have this scenario. Some shows have it as a cherry letter or open letter kind of thing, or Ask Abby kind of thing. So it's our own spin on it. So Amanda's going to take it away and let us know about us.
Just to recap on last week's episode, if you guys were listening, he moved out. My friend moved out.
Yes, yes. I'm glad you moved. I'm sorry. I'm not celebrating. I'm not celebrating the end of your relationship. I just didn't want you to be a simp, and I'm happy you moved on.
He
Good
moved
job.
out quick, fast. Once
Good
he
job.
found out she wasn't pregnant.
Yes,
He left.
God is good. Won't He do it?
All the time.
All the time. He never stayed
I told him that was
I'm
really
so-
fast.
I'm so glad that he got that news.
He moved
Tell
out
him I said
real
good
quick.
stuff. Okay, cool. I'm glad we could bring that full circle.
Yes. Okay, so now I have she works for the same hospital I work for.
Okay.
I actually forwarded the email, but he didn't get the email. So verbatim, I can't remember everything, but I do know that she's married. They have 2 children,
Okay.
and she has a work husband.
Ooh.
Remember we talked about the work husband?
Let me answer that.
Wait,
No.
I'm
Let
not
him
done.
finish.
Okay.
Knowing her personally, what's lacking from their marriage is affection and time, quality time.
Yeah.
A little bit of sex, whatever. But
So she feels like she's not getting enough sex,
she does.
but she's willing and able. Like she puts it out there. It's just that he's not reciprocating.
Exactly.
Okay, continue.
And she needs support from him, like emotional support. So now she has a work husband. He's also involved. And but they spend a lot of time together. They go to lunch together. They flirt all the time. She's always telling him the problems of their marriage and vice versa.
That's what makes him, slick Dick Willie easily because. Go ahead.
And
finish.
she's spending, of course, more time with him because, you're at work all the time.
That's a fact.
Right. So she's starting to fall in love with him.
So,
She's sexually attracted to him.
okay.
And she wants to know how could she back out of this because she feels like she's going to actually have an affair.
Okay.
They're not switching departments anytime soon.
Yeah.
They flirt, they work, they do everything
I let Clifford
together.
go because he's itching on this one.
No.
They go to lunch
I'm gonna
out of a 5-day
I'm gonna-
work week. They go to lunch like 3 to 4 times.
I'm gonna speak on that, right? Because I see it all the time. I see it happen all the time, right? The best thing she needs to do if she really wants to save her marriages is sit her husband down and let him know what's going on. Because
Tell her husband about the work husband.
I'm not about
or
the work
just-
husband, about what's going on, why she's not happy, and where it's gonna lead to. But I'm gonna explain what she got to do because sometimes, as a person, when you're working hard and you're really trying to get to this money, you don't realize the little things you're supposed to do because you're like, you only got 24 hours. If I'm working 16 hours a day and I'm really trying to develop something, I don't got time to hear that my son didn't take a shit at 2 o'clock or whatever because I'm tired. I'm physically tired.
Not
or
only
whatever.
that,
But
to add what you're saying, in our heads, we know that we doing this for us.
Yeah.
But we're not talking to our partners, letting them know it's for us.
But you know what, though? Listening to what you just said, that you don't have time, women don't want to hear that you don't have time. You got to make that time.
I'm gonna explain that. I'm explaining that to you. What I'm saying is, her best bet is to really sit him down and say, listen, I know you're working hard. I know you're doing these things, but I'm not happy, and I'm on the verge of I think I'm gonna cheat, or this is not gonna work out.
She can't say that.
No. She has to express. You know why it's better that way? Because at least she'll open his eyes instead of him finding out the other way. Because he's gonna find out.
Yeah, but a man's ego is not willing
not.
to listen to that. I'm on the verge of cheating.
I'm not on the verge.
She has to deliver it a little easier than
listen, if she doesn't deliver it that way, sometimes a guy will be like, man, you ain't doing nothing. Shut up.
Damn, shut up.
You ain't doing nothing. Shut up.
I'm gonna let Jason as a guest answer.
So here's what she needs to do. First of all, talking to him's not gonna do anything. She talked to him already, obviously.
She did.
Of course she did. They're married. So what he needs is a third-party validation. They need somebody to come in that validates the claims that she's making and also the claims that he's going to make, because he's going to make some claims. The reason why he is doing this, because men, we love sex. So, and let's not put this, because the first thing women love to do or people love to do is, he must be cheating. No, he could just be engulfed in working and building for the family. And he's not remembering or not noticing that he is neglecting his family and his wife. Sometimes we do that as men. Here's the challenge. First and foremost, she shouldn't even go to him first. That's not the first thing she needs to do. That relationship she has at work needs to die immediately.
How could she kill that? Because they work the same exact hours. They have the same lunch break. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you do that? And the office that they work in is not like that big. Like, how do you avoid that after you get it? She's almost like attached to him in a way.
So at this point, she has to do it within herself. Nobody can do it. Moving to another department is not going to do it, because she'll come by there and they'll still hook up. So she has to recognize that even though she is falling for this guy, that's a 20. You heard of the 80-20 rule, right? So that's a 20. That guy's a 20. But the man that she's with is a reason why she married him. He's the 80. This guy is not going to, that's not the marriage, right? The new marriage is not coming from this guy. You're already in a marriage. Right. You're solid in that. So something somewhere she needs to recognize that this is nice at the time because he's giving me what I want, but you're only gravitating towards him love-wise. You don't really love him. Yeah. It's not, because your heart can only choose one person at a time. And that's real.
I disagree with that.
Oh,
I had that conversation last week.
Okay.
No, but
it's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, but
I mean,
no,
truly.
I'm being realistic. I'm being
truly being loved.
I'll
We're going to get on you on that one.
I've loved two women at the same time, but I was only in love with one.
Oh, Mike said that last week.
I believe you could be in love with more than one person.
No,
you
can't,
I digress.
In love or infatuation.
No, in love.
I agree with you, and I agree with Mike. You cannot be in love with two people at one time.
I'm sorry. Let me just drop another quick thing. So, this is your homegirl, right?
Yes.
Are you guys a part of another two girls or two women in a group? Like, y'all, it's more than just you and her as a friendship? Like, y'all know other cool friends that y'all hang out with?
We do, but she shares a lot of personal stuff with me.
Okay, so even though it's not your responsibility, the fact that you do know, you need to sit your friend down and say, listen.
I've told her to drop him.
Cool.
The work husband.
So let me answer this. It's easy for someone to be comforting and soothing when they don't battle the everyday issues that you have. I've been the shoulder to cry on, and it's and got my way in through that avenue. But this is what I want to tell you. Like, there was times even in my marriage where it was just like I was jealous of Olivia Pope and the president. You know what I'm saying? The whole scandal relationship. It's sexy when someone don't have to hold on to the whole shit. They just, they still moments with you. They're soothing with you. It's all positive. You don't pay bills with that person. Do she have kids?
Yes.
That person not raising the kid with you. So it's easy to have someone be a soothing ear and stuff like that. My thing about it is, don't fall for that, because, like I said, when someone don't have to deal with real shit with you, it's easy for them to just, make jokes, buy you breakfast, eat dinner together, laugh and joke and stuff like that. It's not real. To be honest with you, sit there and say to yourself like, yo, do I need to really get rid of my husband, or is this person soothing for you? Because as soon as you feel like, you're ready to make that decision it's a bad place to be in because, like I said, you're not facing real stuff with this person.
No, it's
The
poison.
person, you don't know, you don't even really know the deep internal stuff of that person you're falling for. He gets to package whatever BS he gets to within the work walls. He's not bringing the real shit behind it. So I say this:
100% true.
really speak to your husband and like, yo, check him on the things that's really bothering your situation and remind him on why you guys fell in love. Let me tell you, the worst thing you can do is try to leave somebody for someone that you don't really know. Because a Slick Dick Willie is easy to be that dude on the side. No, because you get to, he knows all the things that's bothering you. So he gets to counter and say the things that you need to hear. So trust me.
I told her that.
Trust me, it's so easy to fall for that person because they're soothing, but it's not real because you guys aren't facing real life shit. You know what I'm saying? You have a relationship with your husband. You guys got kids. You guys got real issues. You know, find out what's the compromises on finding happy, and also before you make him improve upon the things that can make you guys happy. Like we said earlier, you control your happiness. Find the things that you can focus on to make yourself happy, and don't leave, being happy so much solely on what your husband's doing.
Yeah. Another thing she needs to remember, she's probably not going to do it on her own, and this is the challenge I have while I'm taking a very, very slow time to get married, because when I do it, it's going to be right. Because the challenge is people get married and they forget the vows that they make. When you get married, and because marriage has become so institutionalized now, it's like, it's more of just getting married with a certificate than actually what it was built off of, which is God. So
It's a contract now.
yeah, it's a contract now. So if she can hopefully remember that she gave herself to this man through sickness and health, right? Through ups and downs. Well, this is a downtime. This is a downtime. Don't get married if you're not willing to go through the turbulence. Right? There's always going to be. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so this is the challenge I have with marriage. And this is, I see this all the time in marriage, men and women, but especially with women now. Right? Because the roles has been switched. And that's a whole nother topic. But the roles has been switched. Mm-hmm. Women are men and men are women. That's a fact.
That's another topic.
That's a whole nother topic. But for your girl, I mean, I'm going to pray for her for sure.
Yes.
No, I'm dead serious. Because prayer is powerful. But she needs, first of all, she needs to go put it on him. Whatever energy she's getting from this guy, great. Take it home and go put it on your man. Trust me, I don't care how hard a man is working. If you come home with that pum-pum, ready and waiting, I promise you, and you put it on him, it's done. No, I'm telling you, if you do it the right way, no man is going to be like, babe, I'm sorry, I just can't. No. If you find that you wait for the right time, right situation, the kids are away, do something new that you haven't done together sexually. Put it on him, remind him. And when you're doing, it will remind you the attraction that you have for him through that lovemaking. It will. So that will help as well.
Yeah. So we got to wrap up the show. It's coming to the time. One last thing I will say is the worst thing you could do is have the work jump off. The work jump off when you're married, it's all positive, cool, because it's convenient.
I was just about to say
but as soon as it turns bad, it's like rotten eggs that's chilling in your car and you can't get away from it. So you got to think of the good and the bad. But do shout outs before we head out. What you want to shout out before we
I just want to shout out, I'll shout out the workshop that I have coming up October 13th. If anybody's listening who wants to transform from where they are to where they actually never been to before, whether it's financially, physically, any four corners of your life, especially spiritually. But I know there's a lot of people that's hurting financially, and I'll show you what I did when I went from broke to making 6 figures to now on my way to 7 figures soon. And so I teach these things. So the workshop is coming up. It's free. I'm inviting anybody to come. We can only hold about 100 people, so it's getting to that point. So if you want, you can reach out to me, Jason J. Kerr, on Facebook. You can look us up on Instagram, Building Our Dreams as well. So I invite you guys to come out to that. Again, it's free. We're not charging.
Free is good.
It'll be at Occasions Hall in Queens. You can look that up. Right now I don't remember the address, but it's at Occasions Hall, October 13th, 12 to 2 p.m. And we're going to give out 2 power-packed hours of information that I promise you will change your life.
That's what's up.
I want to shout out Open Shirt Poppy, who wasn't on the show today.
Mike Wade, Open Shirt Poppy.
You know, the
He's
summer,
never gonna lose that name.
the summer's ending, so you know, Open Shirt Poppy. Hope to see you next week.
No shout outs.
No shout
Well, you know, I just want to shout out for everyone who's been supporting us. You know, the support's been really good, especially for the summer. I know you out, you thotting, but now that the kids are back in school, you're not thotting no more. You're not a hoe no more. So tune into the show every Sunday at 5 p.m. And, you know, just continue to show love. And like I always say, chase your legacy and not your liabilities, because your legacy lasts longer. And we out. Peace.
Views from the friend zone. I'm trying to reach the end zone. You think I'm kinda sweet and you wanna be friends though? It's cool though. Just don't try to play me for no fool, yo. Views from the friend zone. I'm trying to